Welcome for another session, another conversation to create the future. And today, episode 25, I speak with my great friend Grant. Like that sounds good. And I'm just like I'm really curious. Like it has been a while when we talked about pioneering and futurizing in a conversation to create the future. And for those who have been engaged with us, or maybe first time, just use your chat functions to interact with us, ask your questions, um, put opposing thoughts in it, or agree with us. Like we really want to shift that conversation from talking about problems, talking about today, to a conversation that creates the future. So, Grant, welcome.
Hey, mate.
Thank you for your time.
No, it's good. It's good to be here.
Yeah,
Appreciate
and
you.
yeah, it's been actually there was a post recently I saw. I think probably it was Facebook where you said something starting with you have to get back to your lane or stay in your lane. Like, what were you? What were you thinking about when you put that post on?
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, it was. It was about staying in your own lane. Look, I was just out for a ride, and a particular scene grabbed me and drew my attention to the fact that we can often be distracted by what is around us, be distracted by other people and their plans, and that for me really resonated. That it's so important when we're starting out on a journey, starting out on building something new and pioneering the new, that we make sure that we're staying in the lane that is for us and not get bamboozled by what's around us and who is on us on either side shouting at us, making noise, and that was it.
Yeah, well, that just stay in your lane. Like it just brings back so many memories of previous conversations the two of us had, and other conversations I had, and the whole futurizing process. Because like we love to repeat that truth. If you don't live your own dream, you will end up living someone else's dream, and
Absolutely.
that's the positive version. We have many versions out there, but you could say if you don't find your own path, if you don't stay in your own lane, you will end up in following someone else's path or lane, drain. I don't know which one it will end to. So I think it is absolutely true that you have to get that perspective clear. Like we tend to talk about focus, clarity, but there is this thought that I have been pondering, and I processed it last week with, I think it was with Ryan, or the week before with Mark, when I talked about there's something more. There is this intentional action to put our emotions or connect our emotions to what we expect to rise, to emerge from the future. If we don't have the right emotion selected and connected to what we look for, we will not recognize it as what we have been expecting when it happens, but we will be surprised. And we talked about this opposing emotion of surprise versus anticipation. And when you say that lane, I think staying in your lane is not just like knowing left and right where not to move beyond, but like that feels like, oh, I have to stay here. No, it also means you have this clear perspective forward where you are trying to find something like wholeness, is where what you spiritually have foresight for is connected to this overflow of patience as an emotional intelligence, connected to the emotion of anticipation, so that when this emerging future happens, you recognize it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
So
Yeah,
it's
no,
yeah. What do you
sorry.
think? Like, it's not just staying in the lane. It's also like looking miles ahead in that lane to see what you expect is coming.
Yeah, I think it's, if you look at the analogy of driving on a motorway, and so often over in the UK, I'm not sure what it's like over in Holland, but over in UK, we can get distracted by the cars around us, because if we see a traffic jam ahead, we want to jump lanes, we want to look for a space that we can maneuver ourselves into in order to get on quicker and avoid the delay. And so often we are worried about or looking left to right with regards to what's coming, what vehicle is coming, in order for us to then make a jump into that new lane. We get distracted. We're not thinking about. We're not going to take our eyes off driving sensibly and carefully with regards to the car in front of us. And I think that's very much like life. As you say, staying in your lane, you know where you're heading. You can watch what's coming for you. You can clearly view the signs that are coming up with regards to whether you need to turn off or keep going. And in life, and the things that we start and the projects that are on our heart to start, there is a specific reason why we've started those. And in us is birthed that revelation, that idea that we are passionate about, and we go out and we start that. But so often people will be deterred, or they will be put off, or they will be told, no, you can't do that. And they end up diversifying or changing tact or looking in a different area for this one thing, and they take their eye off. They stop doing the very thing that they started doing at the outset, and they don't see the fruit, they don't see the rewards, they don't see the preferred future coming. They can't, they won't recognize those surprises when they come.
Yeah.
There'll be no anticipation. There'll be feelings like frustration, dread, and trepidation, rather than the experiences of the emotions that you should be feeling, like joy, hope, fun, energy, and all the good things that you would encounter, that you would feel if you're pursuing the thing that you were, set out on, the path that you were on originally.
Yeah, actually, in the example of staying in your lane, we introduce a few paradoxes as well. Because we have to find out our own lane and not say to other people, go back to your lane. Like, that's not what we're talking about. It's not like you're born for lane A, you will never get into lane B. Now, you have to find out what lane you have to actually change to that is your lane. And then when you have chosen the lane that connects to your calling, your sense of purpose, then you have to stay in the lane to get to that milestone, that goal, that first checkpoint of your future journey. And at the same time, you also need to know the internal compass, the navigation system in your vehicle that maybe gives you an alternative strategy to adjust your actions to still get to that goal.
Yeah.
So in the example of staying in your lane, after you've chosen the right one, it still could mean you have to find another route that is more effective, efficient, so that you can avoid obstacles. Like, for instance, if we make it real, like through this whole 18 months of pandemic, I heard a lot of people that said, I have to adjust my goals. Which in my ear sounds, I have to adapt to the circumstances. Personally, my heart cries when I hear that. Professionally, I will advise them to do different. But my heart cries when I hear that they change their goals, adjust their goals, and because they adapt to the circumstances. I think when we start living inside out of that compass that helps us to choose the right lane and switch on the right moments lane because we have to avoid something, actually that internal quality inner voice, the source of our life, actually that should help us to adjust our actions to still achieve our goals. Like, I have not achieved my goals that I had set for 2020 and 2021 yet, through the and by the pandemic. But I have not changed those goals. I had to adjust my strategies, and some are still in process, just to be real. But I didn't adapt to the circumstances by letting my goals go. And I think that is an essential thing. So find your lane, stay in your lane till your inside uh, gives you the permission to change lanes, shift gears, leave the motorway, but not by the external circumstances, not by those people that go for your feelings much faster, left and right of you, and then because that's more like a temptation to go for what it looks like, but it isn't. And then you will find out that it didn't help you. It didn't accelerate you. Although it looks faster. And I think as a pioneer, there is an essential thing. I would nearly say an element of your growth in maturity, that you can decide what to act to and what not to react to. But it's so hard to give a formula because it feels so intuitively in the moment.
Mm.
But we have to. If we are pioneering something new, and I hear this a lot, not much in Europe, but I hear this a lot from the US. You need to have a mentor. Pioneering and having a mentor, they don't go together. Probably you need a mentor in some aspects of your life, and probably you need a coach in other aspects. But when you're called to pioneer something, which you have talked many times about, that actually everyone is called to pioneer something. We all are on this earth because we carry something unique, something distinctive that needs to be come to the surface. It needs to develop. It needs to flourish. It needs to
Yeah.
add value to others. So we all are here to pioneer something, and then we cannot follow someone. So we cannot just follow someone on another lane because that lane is not going to what you are called to pioneer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because ultimately you're going to be arriving at a destination that isn't yours. It's going to be someone else's. So you're gonna get there and you're going to be shocked because actually this is not where I thought I'd end up. This landscape is completely new.
Do you say shocked or shot?
Shocked.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be shocked because you'll be arriving at a landscape that isn't what you expected because it's someone else's destination, someone else's point of destination that you've arrived at. And so therefore you then go back to a map. Let's talk about maps as in the sense of driving. You'll go back to a map and go, okay, where did I go wrong? I need to go all the way back, that direction, 100 miles, and turn left because I followed this person and I hadn't been listening to my sat nav. I hadn't been looking at the directions on the map where I should be going. Instead, I followed someone else, and we get lost and we go down dead ends and we go down routes that we don't want to go down. And you mentioned uniqueness, and I think, when we are starting out and when we are pushing for something and really pursuing what's on our heart, the things that we're passionate about, because we are unique, we're going to have to learn and understand what that uniqueness is and our distinct ways of doing things, which will be different from other people.
Yes.
And it would be so easy to compromise then our beliefs or compromise the way we do things to try and fit in with someone else because we see over there someone else doing it already or doing it better or doing it in a way that actually we thought actually I could mirror that, but actually it might not work for you. It might not work for the situation that you're in or what you're pushing or pioneering for. And it's so tempting to be distracted and pulled away in the opposite direction because you see someone already achieving what you aspire to achieve. But the very thing is that you should not be doing is following them, but pursuing your own uniqueness or your own unique path, that DNA that you have, which will be different from someone else's. By doing things slightly different might provoke or evoke a different response, growth in a different direction, new things, new situations, whatever it might be. And it is important to remember that we are unique beings, and that will, whatever happens, whether you fall on your face doing what you love to do, you'll still get up and go again and still pursue, be honest and be true to who you are. That's what I say.
Yeah, well, that just brings two things to mind that actually I see happening a lot around me that I just want to. So, again, not going to try to talk around it, not try to be politically correct. The contrary, actually. I see that happening a lot with online coaching programs.
Yeah.
They tell you, like, we can grow you from this, from A to Z, and we will reveal our formula to it. Actually, I would say in most of the cases, that is just fraud. Because your uniqueness and your distinctiveness, your color that you add to make something, to introduce diversity in a place, to make it colorful, is the result of your unique journey. And some steps in your journey you can borrow from the journey of someone else by repeating it. Well, actually, in our childhood years, that's how we got grip of learning what life meant. We copied our parents. But there was a moment when our parents asked us to copy them, we started to be rebellious.
Yeah.
And now we call that teenage years or puberty. Well, no, that was the wrong understanding of the parents, still expecting their kids to copy them.
Yeah.
So we all know that's it setting. But now in business, because we are pioneer something, we are surrounded by things that are uncomfortable, unpredictable, even maybe uncertain. We try to hold on someone who can help us to explain what the next 4 steps are to grow 100x, to grow from. But the thing is, you can learn from it, but you cannot copy. So the moment you start following such a messenger, then you make that a messiah kind of perspective. You start walking to behind that. If that's not your path, then don't do that. And I have ended up not with coaching, but more in a religious setting, that people come to you that have much more experience in areas, and they, with all the goodness of the heart, they say, come with me, follow me. Yeah. And I never knew if it was out of insecurity of my own identity, if it was of external pressure, because it was expected not to say no. But I ended up walking for them was the main street, but for me it was a dead end street. And I got hurt, and I had to crawl back to my main street, and I found out that I lost valuable time, energy, resources. So every time now when someone comes along, I first see them as a peer, a brother, sister, a sibling, a cousin, but not as someone who is ahead of me, even when they are a much bigger name in the marketplace than I am. I see them as a peer, which means I can learn from them, they can learn from me.
Yeah.
And when the moment there starts to become an order, I become cautious and actually start to challenge that person, where that person is going. And if that is not fitting where I am, then I have to say, I love to stay connected, but we cannot walk together. So
Yeah,
that's with the coaching programs online. Like, you hear those coaches, I get maybe even a bit frustrated about it, that make 8-figure business a year, and for only 2,000 euros, pounds, dollars, you get access to all their secrets. And then 10,000 people sign up. Well, just do the calculation yourself. I start to understand why they make 8-figure business. Not because they are doing it themselves, because no, they just get all these followers.
Yeah.
And I would say if we make it black and white, then we get ourselves in the place where we become a loser because we set ourselves up to become a victim of someone else's success and the lack of our own success.
Yeah. I mean, there's two things I want to just make comment to. You mentioned, well, actually, that sprung to mind whilst you were talking, is firstly, doubt. Doubt we can partner with unsuspectingly and suddenly realize that we have brought halt to a situation, we brought halt, or we have stopped progressing down that path we had started on, that we'd felt so or believed in so fundamentally that it was the right way to go. And because of doubt creeping in, saying to us, look, is this really going to happen? Is this ever going to take off? Am I going in the right direction? We talk ourselves out of it by allowing doubt in. We partner with that. And I had to recently break that off of my life to think, actually, I had partnered with doubt and I had stopped pursuing the very thing that I felt that I needed to, that I had started to pioneer in and around. And I've come back to what I was originally doing. No longer have I allowed doubt to talk me out of it. And the second thing is that temptation to give in and to not pursue wholeheartedly the very thing that which is on your heart because of the external forces, or someone around you says, actually, no, I think you'll be better suited following this area or that course or that part of the business world or industry, rather than going after what you originally set out to achieve. And when I started doing what I was doing at the Lion Leadership, I had a vision, I had a plan that I was going to take my knowledge, what I had gone through, the business that I had built, into young adults and help train young adults the importance of character, integrity, and honor as they go into business. But I was led and guided to go down to the corporate route, and I've wasted 2.5 years. I've come back to what I was originally set out to do, which was to work with young adults, and doors are opening and things are starting to happen where I'm going in to train young people at university, sort of the third and final year of their course at university. And we can often, as I say, that temptation is there to listen to those that seem to, or we feel, know more than we do, and be led by them rather than be led by what's in here.
But that's so hard, Grant, because all the books that we have read, all the books that we can order on Amazon, all the books that are behind me, like, they have so much wisdom. They are full of good patterns, algorithms, proven success. And in a way, I can learn from them. But the main thing is that I have to, from the inside out, get, I would say, permission or confirmation. And that's actually a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
Because we tend to say that we want to do good. But actually, when we go a bit deeper, we say, no, we want to do the right things instead of good things. There are so many good things that are promoted with loud external voices, and we should and they influence everyone around us. And then you say, and I agree totally with it, no, I have to start listening to that small voice on the inside that actually remembers me that there was an area in my life that I have to pioneer something new, which means I cannot copy. I carry actually the original, and I have to develop it, exploit it, use it to add value to those around me right now and in the future. But it's so hard.
Yeah.
Because the first reflection moment we have is the checklist from the external world, and we can't check the boxes. So we will feel at the end of the list a loser.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
actually, we were not losing. We are winning because we're going this unique way called pioneer. So, what is success? You can't quantify it. How would you quantify success if you're doing something different than everyone else around you promotes? How do you deal with that, Grant?
Well, I mean, for me, success is ultimately doing the very thing that you were created to do. And so there's no model for that. If you find yourself full of joy and energy whilst you're doing the very thing that you're doing, and you're impacting lives around you for good, and you're making a difference, but you're being true to yourself, you've taken time and you explored who you are and what things are important to you, and everyone in your sphere of influence around you has been impacted and benefited by that in a good way. And that for me is success, where you've been true to yourself, you've kept to the path that you set out on, your values, your morals, and you've impacted those around you in a good way, and you've made their life better in some way. Doesn't matter how much, and what that looks like. I think that's success. So often we judge success on finances and worldly goods, and the size of house, and how many cars we have, and how many holidays we have, and how much money sits in our account. But fundamentally, it's about, when you leave this planet, did you leave this place? Did you do the things that you set out to achieve? Did you make a difference? Did you make the world a better place around you? Did you start the things that were on your heart? Did you pursue your dreams that you set out to? Did you honor people? Did you keep your integrity in check? And I think that's success, because it's not viewed from the world. And I think that, the world is upside down, and actually, we need to look at things differently. But that for me is success.
Yeah. Just bring two things to mind. Like a friend of mine, he said, like, when you buy a car with a high price tag, you put it on your driveway to actually confirm your identity.
Yeah,
It's a too expensive car.
yeah,
If you buy a car with a very high price tag because you can afford it based on the growth you had by being yourself, is just an exposure from the inside out. So he said you cannot even judge on the
yeah,
car, because if the car comes, if you have let's make it a 200K car, then a lot of people say that's ridiculous. Well, if that car is the result from your inside out life, it's not too expensive. It's not expensive at all. If that car needs to go from the outside in to confirm you, it's a very expensive piece of metal on the
yeah,
driveway.
yeah, absolutely.
And today I saw this thing. I think it was. I saw it on Twitter. It was from. So I don't want to claim the credits, and I don't know if Claudio uh, made it up himself, but I loved it. And he said, "Faith eats data for breakfast," and I thought that's a good parody on the Peter Drucker statement of culture eats strategy for breakfast. And by the way, that one is so abused, because people say we need to build culture, not strategy, which is total nonsense. You can't build culture. Culture is the result, and if your culture result is not correct, it doesn't matter what you do for strategy, because it will consume your strategy.
Yeah,
But the task is still for you to have a good strategy, to put in action what you have faith for, And if your culture is healthy, it will not eliminate everything. The same goes with your faith, I think. Like you can measure with the data all your success. But if you have faith, then what you have lack for faith or abundant level of faith will overshadow all the things you can measure. And I was triggered by that one. Faith eats data for breakfast. And I think that's what we need to get back to. Faith, that level of hope you have on the inside. I call it spiritual intelligence.
Mm.
Like the level of perspective you can create, the level of foresight you have that will manifest in an image, which is what we call hope. That hope, if you start believing that, then you need to have a lot of self-discipline. And
Mm.
self-discipline is not the routines to do your 15-minute social media posts on the morning, to do your meditation for another 30 minutes. That's not self-discipline. Self-discipline is the ability to put faith into strategies, action, which is a daily job because your actions, your strategies need to be adjusted to navigate around those obstacles, like a pandemic or a client or a product of you that failed or family affairs
Yeah.
that have their own dynamic and own schedule. Uh, you have to navigate around it to still achieve what you have hope for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That could be a sermon or a lecture. Like you don't want to do that. This should be a dialogue, Grant. What are you doing to me?
Well, it's got something to say. It's good to release that, and it's good to share it because I think it's we only get a certain amount of time on these things, half an hour, and it's good to good to share what's on your heart as and when it comes up. But look, I think going back to the beginning of the start of what we were talking about is that staying in your lane. It's imperative that we when we set out when we're launching a business or we're starting from something small, that we are resolute in the belief and the faith that we have to start this and to pursue it and go the way we think it should go, using that spiritual intelligence, but listening to our heart and listening to what we have um, discovered, what we have gathered leading up to that point of that initial walking out, stepping out, launching, whatever it might be. And we must be true to that, even when we see other people succeeding around us in a different way. We must stay true to who we are and stay on course. And only at that time where you feel it's right to shift lanes or shift trajectory or move the business or whatever it might be, it mustn't come from external forces. It must come from that still small voice or the heart, what says about actually we need to add this, we need to do this, or we need to come again and innovate and recreate what we're doing and rebrand maybe because we're evolving rapidly. And I think we must. It comes back to the fundamental aspect. We must be true to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So get out of your box and stay in your lane. I think that sums it up.
Yeah, don't jump in other people's boxes.
No, exactly. And don't get yourself into the situation where you feel forced to shift lane.
Absolutely.
And which is the thing that we need peers around us to keep talking about that, and to be reminded of what our lanes are,
Yeah.
and reminded of what the box is that we jumped out. So definitely,
Yeah.
that's why I think it's good conversation. Well, to wrap up, if you don't know your lane, if you are stuck in your box or you want just start next year with a, I would not say clean sheet, but with clearly defined direction where you going to spend your energy, home, business, society, then I really invite you to jump in the Accelerate Your Future challenge, which is a 5-day challenge where we're really going into step by step craft what our preferred future is, which is different for every individual. So I'm not going to do what I said coaches should not do. So I'm not going to do it myself, but I'm going to review you a process, a creative process that you can apply yourself, not with the same results as anyone else, but with your own unique results. So it's more like a facilitation process to get you into an experience, to discover something new, to explore your preferred future. So jump in, use the link, thefuturechallenge.com, to get a seat in the Accelerate Your Future Challenge. It starts November 15, 5-day challenge. We have some pre-sessions, we have a post-sessions, we have some bonus things. Like it's the whole thing, but the core of the challenge is Monday to Friday in the third week of November. So I invite you to not miss this opportunity and get back into the learning mode and find out what your lane is. Find out what your preferred future is. And well, Grant, we definitely going to chat about the challenge in the days before. So, going to invite you to just make my life hard in one of the pre-sessions and try to help me to find out what my true intentions are behind such a focus of the future, just to help other people to understand. So, Grant, for now, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Johan. And it's something I'm going to be jumping on. Challenge in November. It's going to be good.
It's going to be good. It's going to be, I hope, new and refreshing for me too. I learned a lot from the previous challenge, so I'm definitely excited for that one. So for those who were listening to the podcast and don't see the ticker on the bottom, it's thefuturechallenge.com, where all information about the challenge is. Where you can also sign up, and then you get all the information that you need. Just join it at no cost, or maybe upgrade to a VIP experience for a small fee, just to cover my costs on the administrative side. So get in there, and Grant, I'm definitely going to have another conversation with you. I liked it. Thank you for your time.
Take care.
Bye.